game one in the bag up against Vici J. They were pushing high ground, really taking out the towers and the racks, and all of a sudden they bought back, tried to get aggressive mid, and got team wiped, and that ultimately led to their demise in game one. And then they ended up losing the series 2-1. Now they got to bounce back and beat LGD.FY with the draft thus far of Legion Commander Silencer up against Warlock and Troll Warlord. How do you feel about these drafts between these two teams up to this point?
So just looking up online, it seems like NewBee have favored Legion Commander in the past few drafts, and LFY, knowing that, they might have first picked the Warlock, because Warlock is both kind of a good counter for Legion, but also very good with a Legion, because it prevents the enemy team from kind of interfering in the duel when you have that big rock. And NewBee may have responded with the Silencer, which helps the Legion win her duel, obviously.
We've been seeing a little bit of mid silencer and that support silencer. Do you think it's going to be more that support silencer, or are we going to possibly see him mid?
It could be either or right now. It depends on the team's preferences. Obviously, that hero, we've seen him be run as both a support or a mid lane, so I guess it'll just depend on how the draft progresses.
You know, we're going to see the bans of Omni Knight, Earth Spirit, Magnus, Clockwork from NewBee, and then LGD.FY. They've banned out the Monkey King, Treant, and Terrorblade. You know, with these two heroes of Troll and Warlock, you know, they're probably trying to avoid something specific. Is there anything that they still are yet to take out that's really detrimental to how well a Troll will do in this game?
Magnus is probably one of the biggest pairs I could think of with Troll Warlord, with the Empower helping Troll just farm a lot faster, but also being like a huge team fight spell to help Troll kind of burst people down. There's nothing too big that I can think of right now that could go well with Troll Warlord. Pretty much any core that relies on physical damage will do well with Troll Warlord. And anyone that helps make space, I guess, for the Troll to get online.
So NewBee pick up this off-lane Sand King, so they've got that duel, they've got, obviously, the Burrow Strike to get some lockdown on LFY. Is that, with possibly Global Silence, enough to really kind of take care of this Warlock, where if there's a duel or anything that's really close-knit for NewBee, if he drops that Chaotic Offering, is that enough right now to really just kind of counter that and take him out of the fight?
Usually when I think of Rock, I think of like not just the damage, but just the stun. It helps your team get as many spells off as possible, and it kind of gets amplified by Fatal Bonds as well. But I think the cool thing about Sand King is they kind of needed that instant initiator to pair with Legion Commander, because Legion Commander doesn't necessarily want to duel Warlock. He wants to duel one of LFY's cores. So Sand King will help kind of distract the Warlock so that they can guarantee that that Global Silence is going to prevent a rock.
Alright, so we've got the Sven, which I would assume means that Legion's going to be moving over to the offlane. That puts Sand King in more of a support role. Is there any really definite answer for Silencer, or are we still just looking at it could be mid, it could be support Silencer at this moment in time?
It could be either or at this moment. One thing I would look at or think about is the fact that Silencer doesn't exactly zone out offlaners that well, and so far they have a Slaughter who kind of can just run away from NewBee's trial lane right now, or not exactly run away, but like doesn't exactly die easily. Another thing we could look at is how the Silencer versus Shadow Fiend matchup works out, which I think is kind of Silencer favored in the early levels, but Shadow Fiend should be able to win that lane handily as soon as he hits 3 or 4.
5 seconds remaining.
And
so they might look for a stronger mid laner.
Okay.
Unless they think that unless they are confident in their Silencer's mid.
Is there somebody you see in particular that could go mid in place of the Silencer that's going to do well against Shadow Fiend that's available right now?
Templar Assassin wouldn't be bad.
And then you've got TA, Sven, Sand King, Silencer, Legion Commander. That's a pretty hefty lineup, especially with how early Sven can kind of handle himself with once he gets that level 6.
Yeah, TA's doubly good because LFY don't have a lot of refraction breakers at the moment.
Yeah, and Sordar, as of right now, you can kind of see him as an offlaner, but you know, with the recent trend, he's been more of that position 4. So I feel like LFY they're still looking for an offlaner, and then probably gonna have Warlock in that heavy support role with Sordar kind of roaming around.
That's a good point. Yeah, Slider's been played as a roamer a lot recently.
Radiant team ban.
But also Slider kind of counteracts the weakness of Warlock, which is that Warlock is kind of locked to his lane. He doesn't want to move around that much because he wants to guarantee EXP for himself, but Warlock doesn't also roam around that easily.
Mhm.
So Slider is kind of that faster paced support hero.
So we get the
5
ban of
seconds
Bat Rider,
remaining.
so a bunch of offlaners being banned out by NewBee. Omni Knight, who does play in that
Reserve
offlane every
time.
now and then, Magnus, Clockwork, Bat Rider, they're really just trying to shut down the offlane of LFY. And, you know, what at this point, with all these heroes banned out, what's LFY looking for possibly in an offlaner if they don't go with that Slardar that's really going to, you know, synchronize the whole team? And it's Darkseer. Before I could even get the question out, they go with the Darkseer, and he's been a pretty popular pick recently.
Yeah, Darkseer also solidifies LFY's team fight. They were kind of missing that extra team fight ability to make that Warlock and Slardar work.
10 seconds
Yeah, and
remaining.
it's nice with that vacuum into what could be a chaotic offering.
5 seconds
Whirling
remaining.
Axes, if you can get a couple heroes in that.
Mhm.
It
A
just
side
sets up
note,
a lot.
a side note too is that
Reserve time.
Darkseer buys Guardian Greaves for himself, so he can always get that global silence removed.
Yeah. And he farms it pretty quickly, too. Especially with the Ion Shell. So NewBee coming into this last pick. Still yet to figure out if Silencer's that support or mid. Obviously, LFY with the ban of Quap do think that Silencer's going to be more in that support position. They're looking for a mid laner. And with TA still on the board, I kind of like your idea of it, but they are going to go ahead and go with the Invoker up against Shadow Fiend.
Yep. Invoker's also a solid pick. Something I would have noted is that if they did run the Sancer mid, he's kind of weak against Troll Warlord. Doesn't have a lot of mechanics for dealing with a troll.
Mhm.
Whereas Invoker can kind of get himself out with Ghostwalk or Force Staff, or just having more move speed in general.
Yeah, so we're going to have Legion Commander, Silencer, Sand King, Sven, Invoker up against LFY, which is Warlock, Troll Warlord, Slardar, Shadow Fiend, and Darkseer. It's interesting draft from both sides. Any particular team that you favor just off the draft?
I think that LFY's team fight is a little bit easier to execute because if they initiate first, they're pretty much at an advantage, especially if they somehow remove the global silence. But NewBee have a lot of damage coming out of their heroes.
Yeah, especially
And
with that Invoker.
yeah, well, also Sven's Warcry is really good against LFY since a lot of LFY's damage, or both of their cores are physical damage dealers. So they also have that.
So go through the nice spectator screens. We see our towers. Still bugged, I'm pretty sure. All right. So we've got SCCC on the Invoker, Faith playing the Silencer over on the Sven. We're going to have Mugi. Sand King is going to be played by Kaka. And then finally, Legion Commander is going to be KP for LFY. We've got DDC on the Warlock. Afu is going to be playing the Slardar. Over on the Shadow Fiend is going to be Super with Monet on the Troll. And then finally, this Darkseer, which I can't read his name, which is always great. Singular language, just English, always nice. So these lanes are probably going to set up with Sven up top. you think it's going to be a trialing with Sand King as well as the Silencer? Are they going to be looking to sit up top with that, or are they looking...
Well, the Sand King started with boots, which indicates he's probably not going to be sitting in a specific lane. So I think he's going to start top and roam between top and middle, especially since I think it's a Legion Commander bottom. And they don't really have much kill potential with just the two of those heroes.
And they are trying to scout out a kill here. They do have Burrow Strike as well as the Stormhammer ready to go if anybody kind of shows up in this lane, but it looks as though they're just going to back off. Slither and Crush is just kind of taunted out there, and it will be 2 Bounty Runes apiece. And Bounty Runes have kind of just become customary. I feel like, you know, sometimes there's that early aggression going towards the other team's jungle, but it always seems to end up 2 and 2 apiece, or even with 3-1, it's not much of a difference.
Yeah, if you're Shadow Fiend or if you're a mid hero in general, you don't want to like trade your health for 100 gold. Because I mean, effectively, that 100 gold is just gonna end up being used to buy itself. So, if you keep that in mind, then it's not worth contesting unless you know you're gonna win it.
So we take a look over mid. It's going to be Afu babysitting right now with Super up against SCCC. Take a look over towards bottom. DDC is here with Monet. Meanwhile, it is going to be KP, who we thought might go in the off lane, but he is going to be sitting in the jungle. So Jungle Legion Commander, something that gets made fun of quite often, especially just in pubs. And we'll have to see how it works out for NewBee, as they've got also Faith and Mugi up top with the Sven as well as the Silencer. And then
so I really like what they did. They NewBee gave the Legion Commander the Bounty Rune so that he could buy a Stout Shield as well as the Iron Talon, just to make his jungling a lot easier.
You think his farm's gonna compare to the opponent's offlaner of Darkseer, who has also made his way over into the jungle anyway? So they're both kind of jungling at this point, Darkseer with the Iron Talon as well.
Just looking at their levels, it looks like the Darkseer is ahead by 1 level, but I think that's to be expected since Iron Shell's a very strong farming ability.
Ooh, so Kaka tries to go for that Burrow Strike over mid on Super, gets hit by a couple of raises, now another one. One shot would take him out. Super trying to chase him down, Afu on the run. But it looks as though just for now, Kaka is going to be able to get out. Tower hits him, and it will end up
I feel like it wasn't worth it for the Shadow Fiend to chase.
It does end up being first blood for him. And it is first blood for Super, so that's kind of nice. I don't know, it's a little equivalent to staying in lane for 5 more seconds.
He missed the full creep wave for that, I think. Not chase that far, rather, is what I meant.
Yeah. So with that kill, 1-0 for LFY. And you take a look at the 2 safe laners of Troll and Sven. They've been kind of even. Between the 2 carries of this team, you know, their farm's going to be pretty equivalent. But who works well with the early farm better? Is it, you know, I think it's got to be the Sven, right? As Troll kind of gets better as the later game goes on.
Especially since the Silencer is stacking this hard camp for the Sven. It's also cool to note that Slider tried to block that dire hard camp at the start of the match, but Silencer managed to deward it. That camp's really important for Sven because it pretty much allows him to outfarm the opponent carry. Whereas if he didn't have it, he'd be on the same farm.
You think does Sven have to really outfarm him at such a pace to really keep up with Monet? Because Troll, as much as the later game is really good for him, a good Troll Warlord will come online towards that mid game and really start to just demolish the opponent's team. So does Sven really need to be that far in front?
That is a good question. I think Sven has a kind of a specific timing where he can kind of make the most out of his hero, and that's usually around Blink and BKB. So if Sven kind of hits that at a weird time where the Troll's able to fight back, then it's kind of tough for Sven to win the game from there. But it depends. I'm pretty sure that in the ultra late game, a Troll will always outcarry the Sven, just because of attack speed and bash.
The Troll's going to outcarry that Sven in the ultra late game. You know, we see these invokers that just go really hard towards these late games. Is Invoker going to be able to pick up where Sven might drop off?
Maybe. I mean,
meanwhile, up top,
LFY...
Stormhammer is going to come up on the Darkseer. Sunstrike is going to land on the Darkseer as well as the Burrow Strike coming in from Kaka. They'll end up getting themselves their first kill of the game as NewBee now even it up at 1 apiece as Faith does get that kill. It is going to ultimately be -2.
Dire structures are fortified.
LFY do have the tools to deal with the Invoker. They have Darkseer and Slaughter to kind of catch him out of position. So I just put it down to execution because NewBee do have Legion Commander and Silencer, which work quite well in team fights. Eventually, the Legion might have Blade Mail, which might make Troll just kill himself.
They hit so fast you don't realize how quickly you're dying to that Blade Mail. So Mugi just continuing to push up top. His last hits aren't ahead of the Troll, but being a part of that kill, that does push him ahead. And actually, 5.5 minutes in, not a bad timing to really switch it over to the net worth. And we actually do see that the Troll does have the lead over Mugi on the Sven. So Monet doing a pretty good job of keeping his net worth ahead for the moment being.
I think Trolls kind of had more of an uncontested lane, whereas I think the Sand King and the Darkseer kind of popped their heads into the lane.
And then we take a look over mid where up by about 500 gold is SCCC over Super. And I feel as though that, and as I was about to say it, this Shadow Fiend's kind of been harassed quite a bit. Super's going to get that raise out on SCCC. Not going to survive. The Fatal Bonds comes out on both Kaka and SCCC. But really, there's no follow-up to that. Once you lose your Shadow Fiend, there's not much you can do in terms of damage. It's just a Warlock, even though Swordar is coming in. But if SCCC goes a little bit too far, and now that's not the case because he's salved up, he might have been able to get killed off by both the Warlock and the Swordar. But it's a nice kill for NewBee, as now they make that deficit of the Shadow Fiend that much greater.
There's an Invis Swordar.
Yeah, and they're setting up with the Ion Shell as well as the Slithering Crush. A couple of raises hit from Super, and he'll take one right on back. Nice quick kill and a nice return kill for LFY.
It's a lot of souls for the Shadow Fiend as well. I think this lane outcome is somewhat expected, where the Invoker beats the Shadow Fiend early, but as soon as Shadow Fiend gets that level 3 raise, I think he starts to farm a little bit more quickly than the Invoker.
We do see Mugi using that God Strength just to try and farm up, and Afu going to try and sprint away right into the Sunstrike, as well as the Last Word. He's going to continue to try and get run down by Mugi. The slow, the Last Word, both hits him. He's very low, trying to slither his way out of here, but Faith with that Arcane Curse damage ticking will be enough to get himself a kill, and another -2 for this Silencer.
-2.
And if he gets
That
himself
intelligence kind of hurts Slardar too, because he
Yeah.
has such a low mana pool to begin with.
Just thinking the same thing. So Kaka down bottom here with KP. KP is level 6, so he does have the duel available. You'd be, like you said, expecting to go after the Troll if they were going to go for a duel, as it could get turned around if they were to go on DDC.
Troll's going for Vlad's first, which kind of indicates to me that they might want to be a little bit more aggressive early, recognizing that whenever you play against Sven, it's kind of the same concept as playing against like an Alchemy.
We're actually going to see a Slithering Crush with the Ion Shell, vacuum back by the Darkseer. They'll get themselves a kill on Faith, even the score up at 3, and ultimately take their, what looks like to be their first net worth lead of the game, up by about 800. So they got themselves a return kill. It's just on Faith, nothing too important to NewBee.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
In all, it is just a kill going the way of LFY, but not a big hurting to NewBee.
Yeah, Troll finishes up his Vlads, which I think means that they're planning to be a little bit more aggressive early. Take some towers, take some map control away from NewBee. Because Invoker and Sven do farm very quickly if they're allowed to.
Burrow Strike comes out, as well as the Stormhammer. Sunstrike's going to land as well. Kaka and Mugi. God Strength's going to be used to clean up this Darkseer. Faith is nearby, gets himself that -2, and NewBee, they've been setting it up quite well with the stuns and the Sunstrikes. they're getting themselves a couple of kills. You know, you're saying that they want to be aggressive kind of early with the Vlads coming out from Monet, but are these kills for Invoker as well as the Sven going to kind of stop that from being an issue for them?
A little bit. Those are, I guess those are kills that aren't on the Shadow Fiend and the Troll, so it doesn't impact them. It's helpful, but it doesn't impact LFY too hard. Since I think this Troll is going to be the one making the space for his team for a little bit.
Take a look over mid. He's going to try and ghost walk his way out. He's not under a Sentry Ward. That is his own. And Afu does land the Slithering Crush, but without vision of SCCC, they're not going to continue to move on over. And it doesn't look as though they're going to set up for possibly... do they have a smoke available? They do. They're probably going to take this ancient camp, heal up with the shrine, and then maybe be aggressive with the smoke. But as I say that, Faith goes for the bounty rune. Maybe he turns around and go for it afterwards.
Silencer just hit level 6, so he's ready to use that global silence, and Warlock isn't level 6 yet, so NewBee might see this as a timing to make something happen.
They don't end up smoking, but there are 3 up top for LFY. Afu, Super, as well as this Darkseer. Looking to make something happen, and they do spot Kaka, but with no blink on Afu, no real threat to him. And actually the threat could be coming from NewBee, where they've got that range with the Burrow Strike, could set it up again with the Sunstrike, and if they do play this right, might be able to make something happen on LFY.
There was a failed dual bottom just now. The Warlock manages to survive. Troll did use his TP though, which means he can't rotate anywhere for about a minute.
Yeah, I was too busy focusing top. I completely missed that. Yeah, that's duel down for not too long. Not a huge cooldown. Maybe they go after it again in about 30 seconds, get that mana and health back up for KP.
Looks like Troll's ferrying himself a Clarity, which he really needs right now.
And they're
Kind of
smoked
low
up.
on mana.
Monet, Afu, DDC. They're going to be looking for a kill over mid on SCCC. They're going to drop the Chaotic Offering immediately with the Corrosive Haze. They get the Slithering Crush and really just delete this Invoker. Show their early strengths with the Chaotic Offering, Corrosive Haze, and really the souls and the damage that comes out from Super. So KP trying to defend with the overwhelming odds, but they're continuing to work on this tower. NewBee might have to just give it up.
Yep, I think they came into that gank with the intention of taking that tower. These mid towers are really important for the last few patches because they really open up your jungle. Or they really protect your jungle, rather.
So we take a look over at Mugi. He's got himself that Mask of Madness. Going for the BKB next. Electing to kind of skip that blink. Kind of... lax the mobility, and never mind, there it is, switches back to the blink. The point I was going to make, no longer valid. Reading my mind.
I'm a big fan of Mask of Madness on Sven because it gives him attack speed, and that armor reduction doesn't really hurt him as much as other heroes since he has Warcry.
Yeah. And it really hasn't been NewBee being the aggressors. It's been LFY, which you said they were going to be early game aggressors once you saw that Vlad's on Troll. NewBee, now they know that there's no Chaotic Offering. Do they look to go? They still have Global Silence. They're still yet to use it, too.
I think they're looking at going right now, especially since they just picked up a blink on their Legion Commander. Looks like Silence just queuing up a smoke with these 3 heroes.
And there it is. Mugi, KP, as well as Faith. And over around the bend is going to be Monet. So if they could catch out a Troll, get the dual damage there, that'd be pretty nice for them. And they're going to go wrap around all the way, drop a nice deep ward on their way over. Courier, ooh, a little back and forth. Kind of losing sight of the objective, and Kaka might be in a little bit of trouble. There's the vacuum, pulls him out, and now he's trying to get run down by Monet and the rest of LFY. They're looking for the Slithering Crush. Burrow strikes away from the entire team and completely jukes out LFY in full. They drop the wall as well.
They looked to him with the Courier.
Wow. That is a lot wasted.
And since looks like they're using that smoke to just trade 1-for-1 towers right now.
And they're going to lose their tower top, but go for the tower mid. It's a 1-for-1 tower trade with mid towers being so important. It kind of benefits NewBee a bit more.
Has fallen.
So now they're still continuing to work on LFY. NewBee is here, and they do have the blink still on KP. If they can get themselves a nice duel out, overwhelming odds comes out, as well as the duel coming through onto this Troll Warlord. They're going to get him very low. The Epicenter is not going to even be needed as Mugi cuts down on Monet. They get themselves a nice kill on the Troll Warlord, and still, LFY, they sit pretty close by, maybe looking to turn it around and get themselves a couple of kills. So Afu with the Ion Shell. Slithering Crush comes out on Kaka. He might be in a little bit of trouble with the Stormhammer. Follows it up with the Vacuum coming out on 3. NewBee getting very low. They've already lost Kaka. They're going to lose KP as well. And now NewBee, they're going to have to be the ones who retreat as this Darkseer grabs himself a nice double kill. They don't fully retreat. They see NewBee staying nearby, and they do get themselves 2 kills as NewBee get a little bit too far forward in their own jungle.
Yeah, it was a really cool move by LFY. I don't think NewBee were expecting that slider or those heroes in general to be sticking around after their Troll Warlord died. That's a good remedial for losing their Troll.
Yeah, they take out both Kaka as well as the Legion Commander, and it looks as though they're going to get Roche off this here too, so it's a huge advantage going the way of LFY, just off of that little 1-for-2 trade.
Yeah, I think NewBee are aware of this, but LFY decided to take this because the enemy team doesn't have Global Silence.
And Kaka can't get in there, at least at all, to find himself that Aegis steal, and it looks as though Faith, he's going to be the next one to fall. Super gets the kill, and Aegis as well as another kill going the way of LFY. They seem to be in the driver's seat of this game, up 3,000 net worth, just 16 minutes in. They're going to be looking to get the tier 2 here as well. So what do NewBee really need to do to kind of defend this as God Strength comes out, as well as the duel coming through onto Super? He's going to be cleaned up by KP.
That's what they need to do.
And they answer my question.
More pickoffs. Their team fight doesn't work without Global Silence, so LFY are kind of aware of that. And NewBee, if they can get these pickoffs that kind of slow down LFY's pushing progression, then that'll be really good for them because they have to stall until Sven has his BKB, until Invoker is ready to fight as well with eggs.
Yeah, and Mugi's not too far away from that BKB. We take a look over at the Invoker. He's quite a ways out from the Ags. So they're going to wait for both the BKB and the Ags in full, or you think they could go with just the BKB coming out on Mugi?
I think they're going to do as good of a job as possible pushing out these lanes and looking for pickoffs, but they probably won't look for a 5-on-5 fight until they have at least that BKB. Since without the BKB, Sven's just going to get stunned or he's going to get blinded by the Troll Axes. The Ags is also really nice to have because it just lets Invoker do a lot more in team fights.
They're going to be waiting for the Ags on Invoker, and then Kaka, he's just 600 gold away from getting himself a Blink Dagger, and in times he's been a little bit short. We saw with the Epicenter earlier, he came up a bit short with the Blink Dagger and the mobility he'll gain from that. Maybe we see him be a little bit more effective in these team fights.
Yeah. LFY just hit a timing as well. They just got the Guardian Graves on Darkseer, and they have all their spells, they have Aegis. So I think they're going to look to take a fight soon.
Yeah, they're smoked up, looking to make something happen on NewBee. Monet, Afu, Darkseer, and DDC. They might be able to find out KP here. There's the Blink with the Slithering Crush as well as the Corrosive Haze. They'll throw those axes at him. Monet with the overwhelming odds being hit on from KP, but the Vacuum to pull him back, and KP is going to hit the deck. So Darkseer gets the kill on KP. They use that smoke, get themselves a kill.
Slider's setting up top.
And Blink, Slithering Crush, TP's coming in from both the Warlock as well as the Troll Warlord. They're going to try and make something happen. There's the Stormhammer coming out on 2. Mugi trying to get away. The Corrosive Haze is enough, as well as Monet here, to get themselves yet another kill.
They might get this bottom tower, though.
Over bottom, Faith and SCCC looking to get this bottom tier 2, and now Faith, oh boy, he is way caught out. As now continuing to move forward with the Ion Shell. Not going to be needed as Super gets one more strike onto Faith. And now 10-6 for LFY as they take the first of 10 kills and clean up pretty well, rotating pretty optimally. Now, all things considered, they're still only up about 2,000 net worth, and that's not really the biggest hole to climb out of for NewBee, but with a late game team such as LFY, is it, you know, despite it only being 2,000 net worth, is it a tough road to climb?
I think Invoker and Sven are definitely capable of outfarming the enemy team, at least in the kind of mid game. But as long as LFY play their cards right, I think they should be able to seal this one up.
Radiant's top tower is
So
under
NewBee
Dire's
could just be a little bit shaky in this tournament. Like I said, they threw that game one yesterday by using their buybacks, trying to be very aggressive mid to end the game, end up getting team wiped. Maybe a little bit of communication being lacked with this team. And, you know, you kind of see it here is they're not really coordinating too well. Meanwhile, up top, Kaka is going to get run down by Afu, as well as this Darkseer. The Ion Shell is there. He's going to sprint on forward, and there's the kill. The Vacuum, as well as the Ion Shell, are going to tick down Kaka on the Sand King.
We have the BKB coming up in this fan, so they might decide to do something soon. KP is about a couple hundred gold away from this Blade Mill as well.
Now, is an item like the Blade Mail as well as the BKB really enough to turn it around on NewBee, or are they kind of still secure in these team fights, especially with the Guardian Greaves out on Darkseer?
I think it guarantees a kill on the Troll Warlord with the Blade Mail and the BKB. But, and looks like the Aegis Expert as well. So I think that might be enough.
Yeah, maybe LFY are just going to sit back a little bit more, farm what they can, and kind of try and avoid initiation or engagements with NewBee till maybe the next Roche, right?
LFY do have the tools to kind of counter-initiate on this duel with Rock and Darkseer, but it depends on how well the Global Silence goes as well. And Darkseer can obviously remove that silence with Graves.
So it looks as though both teams just kind of farming away, getting very close to that. Ags is going to be SCCC. Take a look over at KP. Queuing up that Blade Mail next, as he's got the Midas as well as the Blink Dagger ready to go. And he's had that Blink for quite some time, and 22 minutes in, just about, still 0 duel damage. Kind of surprising with the amount of duels he's gotten off.
Wait, did he buy a Midas?
Yeah.
He just bought that, right?
Yeah, he had 2,200 gold, farmed up bottom, and then grabbed the Midas.
Well, it looks like they're going in for the long run.
And they do have the possibility with, I'd say, Invoker and then Sven, but no dual damage just yet on Legion Commander. Obviously, you can pull that back with a couple of duels, one here and there. But you said ultra late game, Troll could definitely be a problem if they get there. Yeah, you still think the advantage is with LFY at this point in the game, looking down further?
It's hard to say. I think if Invoker does a good job keeping himself alive in fights, or I guess if NewBee do a good job of keeping Invoker alive in fights, he can do plenty of damage, especially as soon as LFY's BKB start dwindling down.
Yeah, Monet's getting very close to that BKB.
Shadowfiend actually went second item BKB, which kind of slows down his farming progression. As opposed to like maybe an SMI or something that helps him move around and do more damage.
It looks as though both teams are really just kind of waiting for one of the other teams to push based on where they're just sitting. Obviously now NewBee is making the move forward, but they were both kind of just sitting waiting for one team to push.
Yep, LFY have this ward set up here. I think they're expecting NewBee to smoke through it at some point. That's why the Sliders kind of was waiting to break a smoke.
Not the aggression I thought we'd see from NewBee, but again, you know, you take a look at the net worth, not a huge disadvantage for them. They know these next couple of fights are going to be pretty crucial for them, because if Troll kind of snowballs out and really surpasses Sven by quite a bit, it could ultimately be a problem for NewBee.
Kaka's been doing a great job pushing out lanes. Securing himself some farm, forcing LFI to move around to defend some lanes.
So Ags finished for SCCC. They've got the BKB on Mugi. We take a look over at the Legion Commander. KP still looking for the Blade Mail, and as for the other side, of course, BKB is out for Super on the Shadow Fiend. He's looking for that Hurricane Pike next. And then we take a look over at Troll. He's got that BKB now, and he'll be looking for a Scotty next. So with these items kind of getting queued up, it's going to be a little while till Troll gets that Scotty, but, you know, with the Hurricane Pike, is this a good next item for this Shadow Fiend of Super? Instead of the SNY that you were talking about, or maybe before the SNY?
It'll help him survive in fights, especially when you have to kite a hero like Sven. It's pretty important. He needed it at some point in the game, so may as well get it now since I think L.G.D..F.Y want to take a fight soon.
Dire's top tower is under
Kaka's cutting their top wave.
Yeah, he's been quite a nuisance.
Well,
Actually.
Slaughter's gonna find him though.
Yeah, Afu's coming over, Sandstorm, Blink out. And actually making the rotation over is going to be DDC, but with the amount of mobility that Kaka has at this point, they're really not going to be able to catch him, and he'll TP back to his tier 3 up top, just clean that up as LFY they continue to push. Or had continued to push.
Might have been a better idea if Afu waited for Sun King to enter his ward vision. Since Kaka reacted very quickly to seeing the Slaughter.
So both teams kind of sitting back, surprisingly so. We thought maybe they'd be a little bit more aggressive, and of course, every time I talk about aggression, it seems as though somebody uses a smoke, and this time it's going to be NewBee as a full 5-man stack.
Yeah, I mean, the last few smokes haven't been very successful. I think both teams respect each other's team fights enough to dodge the other.
Yeah, now Kaka smoke gets broken by the high ground of that Troll. They sit back, maybe the chase is on from LFY, and at what point does the respect become too critical for each team?
It's hard to say. I think there's different dialogue going through both teams. It's hard to know what they're thinking. Or how they think their team measures up against the other.
I'll take your tribute.
It really seems...
Yeah, the net worth is ahead 3.5k for LFY, but I think that's kind of a very small difference for this point in the game.
It's definitely one team fight. You know, if it goes 5-0 or 4-1, things could definitely go the other way or really just extend the lead of LFY.
I mean, both teams have a lot of physical damage and are capable of pretty much just taking like 1.5 sets of racks after a team fight.
Both trying to juke each other into the Roche pit. Of course, it's a nice funnel for both teams, or especially LFY, where if NewBee are in that choke point of Roche and all of a sudden they'll vacuum wall as well as the chaotic offering comes out, NewBee could be in a lot of trouble. So both teams just sitting around waiting for one team to kind of enter.
Yep. And the lanes aren't like pushing too hard into one direction or the other.
So LFY, they start. There's the Sunstrike as well as the Burrow Strike coming through. Now Moogie's going to go in with the God Strength. And now 4-stepped out is Monet. He's got that BKB off. Nobody dead just yet. The duel is going to come through on Troll Warlord. But he's actually going to get the win over KP. So he's going to clean up 2. And now it's going to be a 2-for-1. It's a Troll Warlord as well as the Sven and Legion Commander are going to fall first. And now they get the Burrow Strike coming out on 2 as well as the Epicenter coming in from Kaka. That'll be the Warlock falling. And the Shadow Fiend is going to be the next one to drop. Super hits the deck. And it looks as though next up is going to be the Darkseer. So a 4-for-2 trade in favor of NewBee. And the game gets back to about an even mark in terms of net worth. And from here, NewBee might look to go in for that Roche pit and clean it up.
Are they going to try it out first? So I think there might have been a little bit of miscommunication there from NewBee, but I mean, they still pulled through in the fight. The Sven went in, and the global wasn't fast enough to stop the rock. So the troll got away until the duel came in.
And then he still proceeded to win that duel over KP.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, as soon as those BKBs run out, this Invoker and the Sand King will just kill everyone.
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw. Came in, double Burrow Strike, and meanwhile there's going to be a duel up top on Warlock. Burrow Strike comes through, and there it is. 28.5 minutes into the game. First duel damage for KP, just 14, but it's the first one, so it's a milestone.
First of many.
Hopefully for him, if he wants to really improve what he's got right now.
We got a Solar Crest coming up on the Silencer, which should provide more than enough armor in addition to Warcry to stop the troll from killing anyone too fast.
And Solar Crest has just been basically the item to get in every single game. It's just so good at this point, and I think they're going to up how much it costs at least.
Yeah, it was really good before, and then they reduced the cost. If you just look at the stats, it's pretty ridiculous for what it is.
And
I
I feel like even at like a 3,000 or 3,200 price point, Solar Crest would still be the item to get.
Yep.
So now 13 to 10, NewBee with what seems like their first lead in about 15 minutes. Again, not a huge lead. NewBee does take that fight as well as Roche. They've got Global Silence back up. They've got the Aegis out on SCCC. They farm up their next couple of items, and NewBee, they've got to be looking to fight at some point and trying to extend this advantage now that they've got the Aegis.
They might get a pick off on the Shadow Feint here.
They get the Burrow Strike. Here comes the Sun Strike. SCCC going to hit away at Super. He uses that BKB, but not going to be enough to get away, especially trying to get away from SCCC and Kaka with the Hurricane Pike, but double damage for SCCC is going to be enough to clean up that kill.
And that double damage really sealed the deal.
He almost got away, but that's a hard-hitting Ags Invoker already. Hard to really get away from, especially with Kaka there. So now LFY, they're the ones who are kind of not fully on their heels. They're just behind about 4,000 net worth again, and about one team fight away. And actually Darkseer shows himself he might be in a little bit of trouble as Mugi is here, as well as KP. They're going to be looking for the duel. He actually blinks away from Mugi further up.
Yep.
Avoids the duel and the stun completely.
I think that was more of a bit of a panic. He blinked in the direction his mouse was probably already facing.
And so still avoids the duel damage. Still just one duel win for KP. A duel loss as well. It's a 500 record thus far. And now NewBee, especially with the Aegis, they're going to look to be aggressive and push this top tier 2. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they even go further. But with that, they'll turn it around. And again, prove me wrong once again. I just can't call it right at all.
These teams are playing somewhat unpredictably right now since there's not a lot happening.
Yeah, they're showing a lot of respect for both sides. Not really over pushing themselves or going too far forward. So we take a look over at Super. He's got himself that Hurricane Pike, looking for the Butterfly next. BKB is already down to 8 seconds. And then we take a look over at Monet, still working on that Scotty, about 1,000 gold away. And then his BKB timing has only been used once, so he's at 9 seconds. So doing pretty well with that, as he's got that SNY here as well.
Yeah.
So
now Scotty is a really important item on Troll since it gives him, or it's one of the few items he'll purchase that gives him a lot of health, and you don't really need anything else on Troll except for stats and health, since the hero naturally has a lot of attack speed and armor.
So they pull back with the Vacuum Kaka, but other than that, not really, no real aggression coming out from LFY. They're kind of waiting. They do see this Kaka Sand King mid, so they might look to go in. And I thought maybe Afu would turn that way, but he's going to head up top, kind of protect Monet as he looks to push this top and possibly tier 3.
It's important to note last fight, or at the Roche fight, that KB got the Blade Mail duel off on the Troll, but the Troll had enough health to kind of kill Legion Commander threat. And Legion Commander has a Plate Mail now, which should help him out a little bit, but the Troll only got tankier since the last fight, so I think these duels might be a little bit risky against the Troll unless he has someone backing him up.
Is Troll just always the target with duel, or are you maybe now looking where Troll is going to get too hard to kill, or are you going to be looking at maybe possibly just dueling Super?
I think you're targeting, as you said, Troll or the Shadow Fiend, but the Troll's obviously the easier target, and you don't want the Troll hitting anyone else because the Troll's gonna like permabash either the Sven or the Invoker.
So LFY, they do smoke up 4. Darkseer, Afu, DDC, and Monet, and Shadow Fiend actually not joining them just yet, as LFY are going to look bottom, and they're not going to find anything, as NewBee have kind of you know, sensed this out and have backed off towards their base. So nowhere near the aggression of LFY. Which is pretty unfortunate. We haven't really seen an LFY smoke kind of turn into too much. I think one of them granted them or netted them 1 kill, and that was about it.
And NewBee's done a really good job of avoiding these smokes. And another thing is that Kaka's been pretty much shoving out all the lanes, which makes it a little bit more obvious when LFY is smoking, because it's kind of fishy when they're not defending a specific lane. It looks like NewBee are smoked up here. They might find 2 heroes here.
They try to move to the high ground. KP is going to get that duel off on the BKB Troll. The Sunstrike's going to hit. He's about half health and actually wins another duel. KP, just so unfortunate. They do end up taking out Monet, and now they're going to try and run down Afu. They've got that cold snap coming off. Mugi's trying to run him out with the God Strength, and SCCC will find himself yet another kill on the Swordar, and they're going to find another one in DDC. An easy Stormhammer, God Strength, SCCC with the double kill. A 3-for-1 trade, dual damage going the way of the Troll, and they only lose the Legion Commander on NewBee.
Honestly, it might be worth it for Troll to get that dual damage in exchange for death.
It's really just
I'm
not
half
working out for
joking.
KP.
But yeah, as I mentioned, KP does not have nearly enough health to make that duel work.
I
Especially
didn't
since-
catch it. Did he get the Solar Crest out on KP when he went for that duel? I don't think so, right?
I'm not sure. You can't target magic immune enemies, so I think Silencer must have targeted.
Burrow Strike
Agent.
comes out, as well as the EMP. They're going to get the Stormhammer. They're going to try to follow this up with the Sunstrike, and now in a little bit of trouble is Super. He's going to get 4-step forward, 4-step back, and now it looks as though LFY, they might try and chase down the retreating NewBee. Kaka, very low, is going to miss that Burrow Strike. Now he's going to be Yulesed up, and with this Shrine, they're still trying to land those raises. Here comes the duel. KP, finally the victor. And I am completely frozen as the Chaotic Offering comes down, and now there's going to be a Burrow Strike to follow it up. They're going to bring down Afu. Darkseer is already dead, but now Monet, he's going to be trying to go forward with the chase. He's going to pop that BKB. He's got Kaka. He's got Faith, and now he's looking for more as Super is going to force-step himself to the high ground, and he might actually catch KP, who's stopped moving completely. That might be due to the little bit of lag. But,
No, KP, he tried to backpack his Blink Dagger.
Oh, all right, I didn't
That's
catch
why
that.
he stood still.
And DDC is going to finish off KP. And they actually get 3 on the retreat. We show the fight recap. It's going to be 1,600 net worth going the way of LFY, and they don't even lose the tier 3.
Well, Darkseer is definitely a hero that won't kill a Legion Commander during a duel.
Oof, so great having a second pair of eyes seeing what I don't see, especially that Blink Dagger.
Yeah,
Backpacking.
he tried.
Tried, but not enough, and coming close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and with that fight going the way of LFY, they'll quickly finish off Roche, and that's the third Roche of the game. Aegis and Cheese.
Emphasis on the quickly.
Oh yeah. So now they've got this Aegis and Monet looking pretty strong with the Cheese. He's going for a Butterfly of his own. Butterfly is not too close to getting finished for Super, as he just picks up the Talisman of Evasion, but he should finish it up in probably the next 2 or 3 minutes if he farms well enough, or maybe if they take a fight.
It looks like Spence switches quick buy to a Daedalus, or from a Daedalus to an MKB after seeing that Butterfly, or after seeing the Talisman.
Yeah, Talisman's one of those items that if you're not really a support, kind of just gives away what you're getting.
It's interesting that Troll Warlord's also going for a Talisman of Evasion.
Yeah, he's going for the Butterfly, and I feel like
It sounds
Oh,
it sounds good on concept because like he's an agility hero and you know evasion's always good. But the last few times I've seen a Butterfly and Troll, I feel like it could have been better spent on maybe a damage item like MKB or Daedalus or a Satanic.
So Burrow Strike misses. He's going to blink back towards the Shrine. Now he's going to get Yules up into the Slithering Crush. He's going to try and use that Sandstorm, but Monet, 1 and 2 and 3 will take out Kaka.
I think he got a gem as well. I'm not sure if they had that already, but
Yeah, he had, I think maybe NewBee dropped it in the fight.
okay.
Over by,
That was an interesting maneuver from the Sand King. I think he already got away.
So now Tornado EMP is going to land on Super. No more mana for that man. Let's see if NewBee, how well they can defend as they blink in, get the duel with the Blade Mail. Global Silence comes out as well as the Meteor, and they will find themselves actually super getting the kill on KP, but Mugi gets the kill on Monet. Before that ends up going down, the Chaotic Offering is going to come through. Afu looking for a Force Staff as well as a Slithering Crush, but not going to find it, and now they've have to retreat on LFY, and NewBee, they are looking to chase. Sunstrike going to come through. They do get it, the Stormhammer out onto this Warlock DDC, so they'll find themselves another. Here comes the Yule. Super might be in a little bit of trouble. Kaka just watching him for the time being, and he's got that Burrow Strike back up. Here's the blink from Mugi. They're continuing to work, and he's got that Butterfly. Will keep him alive a little bit longer, but they are going to pop that Aegis. Look for the Epicenter coming in from Kaka. And now it looks as though it's not going to go his way. It's going to go to the back lines as Darkseer as well as the Sartor are going to be hit. Monet now back alive, trying to hit down Mugi. Mugi's going to get run down as the BKB is popped by this Troll Warlord. Meanwhile, on the back end, they're going to look for SCCC, but the Cold Snap's going to stop him for just a moment longer. The blink away, and now Kaka with that Yules as well as the Burrow Strike. He'll get himself a little bit of room between him and the side of LFY.
Something cool is that, well, it was cool that NewBee had the confidence of going on that Troll Warlord in the first place, even though they were down 2 heroes. And, Kaka, when he was channeling that Epicenter, he actually blinked down to stop the blinks from Darkseer and Slaughter, but it didn't stop the Sven from dying.
Yeah, Monet and LFY, they're right back at it, looking for this tier 3. They get it pretty low. There's the EMP as well as the stun coming out on this Darkseer. They're going to blink on forward as CCC, trying to find something with that BKB, but now that's just BKB down, and a small win for LFY as they all switch it on over after they don't have a tier 3 just yet. But they'll just back it off and look to farm up a little bit more and gain a little bit more confidence in their items and their levels. So NewBee, they do have this lead of 5,000 net worth, but again, it kind of feels like LFY are the ones putting the pressure on NewBee.
Yeah, it does feel that way. The weird thing is, like, if the Troll goes on the Sven is pretty much dead almost every time because he gets permabashed, but I think the last couple of duels have worked out, except that one where Troll got the dual damage.
Yeah, he got the dual win on Monet and then immediately dropped to super. So LFY still sitting in a pretty aggressive spot. Roche not going to be up for really quite some time, so looks as though they're just going to continue to farm, get those next items, and then ultimately look to take that next Aegis.
It looks like Legion finally got an HP item, and that Halberd's going to help them a lot against the Troll Warlord.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't pick it up earlier on someone.
Yeah, Halberd is actually one of those items that got buffed along with Solar Crust. Halberd's cooldown got reduced to 18, which is pretty low. You can cast it like 2 or 3 times a fight. I think a big part of why NewBee are kind of backing off more is because LFY have that gem, so we're kind of behind on the vision right now.
And the vision is up here, or was up here, for LFY.
They have their own gem again.
And it is going to be on Kaka.
Darkseer's starting to work on a Hex.
Yeah, not too far off from it either. So, Troll 28 dual damage. Definitely not what you want to see if you're KP, as he's not really... None of these duels have been easy.
No.
That's for sure.
I think after that first duel next to the Rochefort, he should have at least figured that the Troll was kind of out DPSing him through the Blade Mail. Especially since those 2 duels that Troll won, the LC still only had 1.4k HP, which is really low because the Troll had over 2.5k.
So over on the side, smoked up is NewBee. They're going to be looking to be a little bit aggressive on LFY.
I feel like whenever you see an Alacrity Forge Spirit just running through the middle of the map, that there's something fishy.
So they come over, kind of just missing on LFY. They're just kind of mirroring their movements and just coming up a bit.
More importantly,
short.
though, they set up a nice ward that should, or 2 nice wards that should set them up for the Roche time.
Yeah, so they do get those deep wards in, and NewBee, once Roche comes up, they're going to have some pretty good vision, like you said, and Roche may respawn in 42 seconds. Allegedly.
Yep, they're picking to play around this ward. Waiting to break a smoke or catch any heroes. The Slaughter's coming in. Or almost came in.
And he's still sitting in those trees. Very smart. And that's going to be BKB's pop. That's going to be a nice duel coming out. But a big vacuum wall is going to come on through from the Darkseer. Now they're going to try and clean this up. Here comes the Meteor that's going to be dropped as well as the Chaotic Offering. KP's going to be the first one to drop on NewBee. They get the Slither Crush coming out on Mugi. Mugi might be in a little bit of trouble, but the silence is going to be there for the Darkseer. He's going to use that War Cry as well as the Burst Strike. That's going to hit on Monet. He's going to be tornadoed up. And he's not going to drop just yet, but he'll finally fall as SCCC gets himself a nice wicked 6 streak. And 3 are dead on LFI. They're going to try and chase down Super, who's continuing to run, but the Burrow Strike's going to hit from Kaka. Meanwhile, they don't actually have buyback on this Troll Warlord, and he's dead for 100 seconds. They get the kill on Super, and he's dead for 88 seconds. So a huge team fight for NewBee, maybe enough to get themselves a set of racks or 2, and possibly even just finish off the game. The Tornado, that is going to hit on the Darkseer. They're going to try and follow this up with the Burrow Strike a little bit too early, and Darkseer is going to try and surge himself out, and meanwhile, just find himself an escape. While all that's happening, NewBee, they're going to clean up this first set of racks in the middle lane as well as that tier 3 tower. They head towards bottom, and they are really looking to clean it up, and just like that, LFY, they're just going to call GG, and that's it. So a nice team fight from NewBee wins them the game.
Yep, that Blade Mail duel with Global Sounds is too strong. They killed a troll even though the troll consumed the cheese afterwards. And I think a big key to LFY's lineup is that Rock and Warlock got effectively countered with Global Silence. In fact, we could see that Warlock was, or at least I checked that the Warlock was trying to buy a Lotus Orb by the end of the game.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at the scoreboard. SCCC 8-2-14, a really good game for that Invoker, who really helped out the Sven, as well as KP, who struggled